Hi everyone, I'm Sandy, and today I'm back with a very special Wednesday Reads episode. This one is featuring the channel Attention! Or Pae Veo's channel. If you're not familiar with Pae's channel, I highly encourage you to go check it out. He is absolutely amazing and creates real content where I'm just over here babbling about books and stuff, but highly recommend you go check out his channel. I did reach out to Pae ahead of time and ask if it was okay if I featured him on my channel today, and he kindly said yes. So the reason why this one is extra special is because normally what I do in Wednesday Reads is I read books that are reviewed by the other booktuber to see what I thought of them, and in this case I actually get to review or talk about Pae's book. I did not know that Pae wrote a book called Searching for Marilyn Monroe. I happened to see this on Jolene's channel, which is Bookworm Adventure Girl, and that is how I first found out about it. I went out and searched for it and found it on Kindle and was able to purchase it. I will put a link in the description for the book for you. I don't have any affiliate links or anything like that. It's just a link to help you find his book, but it was very serendipitous, I think that's the word, with this book because it's called Searching for Marilyn Monroe, and I happen to be reading right now Blonde, which is a fictional retelling of Marilyn Monroe. So the second that I saw what this book was called, I knew I wanted to tie these two concepts together, as well as the JFK book JFK tag that I did yesterday in yesterday's video. So yeah, very excited about this. And I do have one other book that is the normal concept or the same concept where I'm reviewing a book that Pae had reviewed, and just we'll discuss that one, which is also very cool. But for this one, for Searching for Marilyn Monroe, I know Pae is also sending me a copy of the book. I just haven't gotten it yet with the holiday mail. Didn't actually happen, obviously, over the weekend. So for Searching for Marilyn Monroe, what this is a collection of short stories. It starts with the first story this has the same title as the book does, which is Searching for Marilyn Monroe. It features a character whose name is Wallace, and Wallace has a very inflated sense of self-importance. As you're reading this, he thinks that he is the best thing ever and that his novel is the best thing ever. And I'm reading this and getting shades of Ignatius from Confederacy of Dunces. And there's even a quote in here, which is the Jonathan Swift quote: "When a true genius appears, you can know him by the sign that all of the dunces are in a confederacy against him." And so I actually reached out to Pae and asked if this was kind of that similar character, similar vibe, if that's where he got the inspiration for this. And I loved Pae's answer so much, which was, this is actually, he took a huge amount of time to research, and this story is based off of things that really happened to John Kennedy Toole, who wrote Confederacy of Dunces. So it's not a play on Ignatius, it's more of a retelling of some events in John Kennedy Toole's life, which made it even more fascinating for me in that I loved this character quite a bit, and the story itself flows really well. He does have a minor fixation with Marilyn Monroe and thinks that she someday will recognize his brilliance, and is very upset when Marilyn dies because she won't get to recognize that she should know him or be with him. So I thought that was really clever. The other quote in here that really shows you Wallace's character is, he never believed it to be of his own fault, but that of others who did not understand his wit, his humor, and above all what he believed to be the true voice of Crescent City. Yeah, so he, again, very much a lot like that Ignatius character in Confederacy of Dunces. If you've watched the channel before, you know that that's one of my favorite books, so I absolutely love this correlation to that story in this book in Searching for Marilyn Monroe. And so it goes on to have multiple other stories in this. There's one where it starts with kind of a countdown and goes 5 is the very first word, and the character in that one, he's almost paralyzed with making decisions, and so first and second choices are second thoughts, and so he decides to make his second thoughts his first thoughts, and suddenly he's doing so much better until he realizes he's just having 2 first thoughts or 2 second thoughts at the same time, and then he's paralyzed again. That one I thought was really clever. The next one has just some really beautiful prose in it that I thought was lovely. story, but the story that really captivated me is the one that's called 53. There are not 53 stories in this book. The story is actually called 53. And so the character's name in this story is 53. And what you find in this book is that the writer of the actual fictional story is creating the character as you're reading it. And so you get to experience the character's kind of emotions and awareness as the character becomes aware of them himself or herself. I think it was a him. Yep, it was a him. Sorry, had to look. You get to learn or get to be brought along with the character as basically the author is creating the character, and you almost get the interaction between the character and the author, and you get to see the character's reactions to the author's decisions that they make about the character. You as the reader get brought in as well, because the character is told to say hi to the reader, which I thought was really very, very, very well done. And this story for me sold the whole book for me. It was my favorite story of the whole thing. I thought it was so incredibly clever. I had never read a story like this where you get to see how the character reacts to the choices the author is making, and see how those choices and how the character gets to remember what happened in the past at the moment the author changes the perspective. And it was just a fascinating story. It was by far my favorite story in the entire book. I thought all of them had different points of interest in it, or different things that I liked about them, but this one, 53, was by far my favorite. And if you want a very special treat, there's a story in here called Rabbits, and Pae actually has a video on his channel where he's reading from that story with music, and it is absolutely lovely. I may have spent a bit too much time on Pae's channel this weekend because I was researching and doing some stuff for this video, and then I probably watched like 5, 6 of Pae's videos. So these videos were done about 4 months ago, which was before I was on BookTube, and before I even really knew BookTube was really a thing. So I'm so glad that I was able to catch up and find those. But I will leave a link to that video as well, because it really does help to bring that story to life. But yeah, it was wonderful, wonderful book. I'm not going to give it a star rating on here. There's absolutely no way I can be unbiased with this. Just in having talked with Pae, feeling a connection as a fellow booktuber, I can't be impartial. There's just no way. But I really did enjoy this book quite a bit. And so if you're interested in it, like I said, I'll have a link to Amazon Kindle where you can go buy it. I couldn't find it in a physical book, but it is one that I thought was really, really really amazing, and love that I know an author. Actually know more than one author now. And just thought it was quite lovely. So I highly encourage you to go and take a look at Pae's book. Okay, so what I normally would do as well is, so I was looking for a book that Pae had reviewed that I could talk about on this channel, and AJ Dunn had referenced this book, at The Wasp Factory by Ian Banks, as a book that he picked up because of Pae. And so when I messaged Pae, I asked if he had a video talking about this, and he pointed me to the Divine Comedy Tag video, which is the only place he's really talked about this. And what's funny about that is in that video, he actually says he doesn't recommend this book. And when I went back and looked at AJ Dunn's piece, the book was actually referenced as part of an effed up tag, which explains quite a bit. So I did not read this one. I couldn't read this one. I just said, nope, I don't want to read this one right now. It is actually on my 1001 book list, and it is very small. So I know I'll read it sometime, probably fairly soon, but I don't want that twisted of a book. So I'm going to wait on that one. What I was able to find on Pae's channel was a book review for the book Given to Fly by JD Estrada. And Pae's review of this book is wonderful and has a lot of different animation on it. Mine is going to be quite a bit simpler than that, but I was so incredibly surprised by this book. This is actually, I believe Pae referred to it as maybe a middle grade, but that it would bring joy to any reader. And if you have been watching my channel, you know that I have had a large number of sad or depressing books lately, and this book is one that acts as almost just kind of a lovely palate cleanser to get rid of some of those negative or bad or depressing books. This book, when you go into it, it says Given to Fly, an adventure novel. It follows a character whose name is John Rivers, and the very first line in the book, it says, there was a boy who dreamt of flying, and that's just, he really wants to be able to fly. His family ends up moving across country because his father loses his job. I believe there's also a loss in the family, and they move across country, or move to be able to have a fresh start, and they move into a house that's next to a cliff that has a tree growing out of it, and you saw it in the cover of it as well. So John is spending time with his family and asks his dad if he can go out and play and explore. And he goes and explores the tree on the cliff and sees a house on its side in the tree and thinks someone is in trouble, so scrambles down to get into the house. And it is just an absolute delight from that point forward. Everything that John experiences in the house is magnificent. So much of the brilliance of this book comes in the small things that happen. Everything from the characters they meet, how the inanimate objects act, the characters' names, all of these different things, the little things in this book make it so incredibly sweet and charming, especially for an adult reader who some of the things might get lost on a younger reader. There's one section that there's a gadfly, and the gadfly tells you his last name, and it made me chuckle because of the name. And I'm not going to say it because I think those are some of the biggest spoilers that people can give in books when they give away those very special little details. But so John is interacting with the lord of the house and is basically saying that his main dream is to learn to fly. He wants to fly. And all of the characters in the house try and help him get to a point where he can fly. And the house is very, very magical. It does not follow traditional gravity. It doesn't follow traditional stereotypes. It is absolutely fantastic. And the characters go through a wide variety of different steps, everything from a library to things of knowledge to trying to go to see an angel to learn how to fly. And the story is very sweet, and John is a wonderful, wonderful character who's exceptionally polite and caring. There are so many wonderful stories in here, or messages in here about things along the lines of accepting people for who they are, or that black is just like any other color, or there are many different ways to achieve your dreams. And it was something that I was not expecting, and I just really enjoyed John. I enjoyed his journey. I enjoyed the adventure that he went on, his interactions with his parents, which were always very, very sweet. Even in times of difficulty, he was just very, very sweet boy in this, and I thought it was absolutely, utterly charming. I'm also not... Am I going to give a review for a score on this one? I put it at the 4.5 star mark on my Goodreads, only because I wanted the ending to be just a little bit different. Not a lot different, just a little bit different. And I would highly recommend this book as well for either young readers or older readers. I thought I got something out of it, and I'm certainly not young, but I thought it was something that everyone could get something out of. There are a number of quotes in this book that I thought were really, really special. So one of them is, it seems most people like to talk about their problems, though they don't always try to do much about them. I thought that was a really great quote. The other one, he's trying to console his father, who is very upset. He said, unfortunately, body language could be as clear as the tears going down his father's face. And if sadness had a flavor, John was certain that it had to be bitter and salty. I thought that was really great. The one about him flying is dare to dream. He heard in his mind and his dream was enough. Flight. Glorious flight, so he could dance with the heavens and kiss the clouds. Just absolutely lovely. And then the last quote that I'll leave you with is, he always found that reading book titles always helped to soothe him. That's why he always enjoyed going into bookshops for hours. In the case of someone's collection, it was a glimpse into the soul within. And how appropriate is that also for someone doing booktube? I really was so surprised and delighted by this book. I would highly recommend it as well. I also will leave a link to Pae's video in my description because he, like I said, does a much more eloquent job. I was charmed. I was charmed by this book. I was charmed by the characters. I was charmed by everyone he meets and by the messages within the story. So absolutely, please go check that particular one out. And that actually concludes my Friday reads. I'm so glad I got back to it this week. This was a fun one. I will be talking hopefully about Blonde this weekend. I'm getting close to being done with that book. And then I actually also picked up a biography of Marilyn Monroe because I so wanted to see how much of Blonde was real and not real. Unfortunately, this is the only one I could find, which is the final years of Marilyn Monroe. So it's not going to go into as much detail as I'm hoping it would. But yeah, I did also pick up that book. And with that, like, comment, subscribe, check out Pae's channel, check out these books. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.